Welcome to this week's installment of MLSnet.com's Extra Time. I'm your host, Greg Lalas. That's Shep Messing. We're going to take a look at some of the stories that are taking place in MLS. Take a quick look at the lineup for this show, and we're going to start out in DC. Are they resurgent? Are they back? Then we're going to go down to Houston, where they're having all sorts of problems just putting the ball in the back of the net. Sean Wheelock has a good interview with Eddie Johnson. And lastly, we're going to take a look at some of the newcomers that have come into the league. We're going to start down in D.C., where United seems to be back. They started the season with 3 straight losses, and now they've gone undefeated in their last 3 with 2 wins and a draw. A lot of the key there, I think, is JAIME Moreno starting to play well again. He's had 3 goals in 3 straight games. They're all PKs, but hey, every goal counts.
Well, I'm not sure D.C. United is back yet, Greg. Who did they beat? They beat Chivas. They beat Toronto. Wait and see. But in terms of JAIME Moreno, I totally agree with you. I would make the argument that JAIME Moreno could be the greatest player ever over the period of time to have played in Major League Soccer.
Jason Kreis, all-time goal scorer in MLS. Moreno approaches, strides into the net. Jaime has done it. Goal number 108.
He is tremendous.
Well, certainly, and he seems very motivated ever since Tommy Sohn sent him to the bench against New England 3 games ago. Since then, they got a draw against New England that game. He created the PK, got the goal, and they've won the last 2, including a very impressive win up in Toronto where they came back from behind, and they got the win when Tommy Sohn went for the attack.
Well, again, I agree with you about Moreno. When he got put into that game, you could see it in his eyes. He was fired up. But I still think D.C. United has to adjust to the tactical formation. They're playing 4 in the back. They never did before. D.C. was always a team that dominated with 5 in the midfield. So I have to still see them over a period of time to see if they're back.
So while D.C. is resurrecting their season, Houston is having all sorts of problems. The biggest problem is that they just can't seem to score. They've got 4 goals in their first 7 games, and they've been shut out 5 times. This past weekend, they were playing against New England, and they went down 1-0. They were having all sorts of problems just trying to get the ball in the box. And once it did get in there, they couldn't seem to create any good chances. You know, I don't know what it is. Brian Ching just doesn't seem to have his game on. You know, they're getting some good balls in from the flanks, but just nothing finishing in the middle.
I'll tell you, Greg, I'm a big believer in Dominic Kinnear, but one of the keys to the success last year of Houston is really Dominic Kinnear likes to shorten the field. So I blame a little bit on the back line. It's what they do when they lose the ball that they're not doing well. They've got to shorten the field. Back line's got to play up high. That makes it a little easier for Brad Davis and Mullen to give quality service in the box.
Yeah, but what about De Rosario? I mean, De Rosario is obviously one of the best players in this league, and he belongs in that category, but he just doesn't seem to be on this year. They're marking him a lot tighter than he has. He has to get into the attack a little bit more. Against New England, he just never seemed to pick up the ball and just run at the defense the way we've seen him do in the past couple of years. Now, for Houston, though, you know, if they're really going to get going, they need to get Brian Ching involved. They made a trade last week. Joseph Nguyen came in. Alejandro Moreno went out, try and get some more speed, but it just didn't click.
Well, again, I believe in this Houston team. Not very different talent-wise than what they were last year. Dominic Kinnear will sort it out. And again, the more they can shorten the field, bring their back line up high when they don't have the ball, I think the goals will start to come.
Now, they scored 44 goals last year, so you've got to think that the big orange machine is going to start rolling pretty soon. Now, someone who's been rolling all season long is Eddie Johnson down in Kansas City. Our man Sean Wheelock caught up with him.
Eddie, April MLS Player of the Month. Do you already feel this early on, like it's somewhat redemption for maybe not having your best season last year?
Nah, I just think it's a credit to the team, everything Kurt's been preparing us for with the 07 season. You know, I had a chance to sit down in the off season to, you know, really reflect on last year and trying to this year to correct the things that I didn't correct it last year, and giving me confidence. And with giving me confidence, it comes, you know, 1 through 28 with the players here and with the coaching staff. And you know, I just wanted to get off to a good start.
I guess last year would be kind of strange because I'm sure you accomplished one of your lifelong goals, which was to play in a World Cup.
My first time watching the World Cup, I was 9 years old, I think, 8 or 9. And I just had started playing soccer, and my coach told me to watch the World Cup, and I had no clue what it was. My favorite team during the World Cup was Brazil because Romario, you know, I wasn't a forward at the time, I was a defender, but I just saw, like, the emotion and passion of, of scoring a goal. And then that's what made me really want to be a forward because, you know, now that I score goals and stuff, it's an unbelievable feeling, you know, with the club and at the international level. And just to see, you know, him running around and throwing his arm, I can relate to that feeling that he had, because I know what it feels like to score goals at the international level. It's unbelievable feeling. It's an unbelievable feeling.
With Kansas City Wizards striker Eddie Johnson, I'm Sean Wheelock for MLSnet.com.
Thanks, Shawnee. Kansas City had the week off, but this Saturday they go into New England, top in the Eastern Conference. Should be quite a Donnybrook out there. And we're going to end this whole segment with a little look at some of the newcomers that have come into the league. We're going to name this Start or Bench. You want to start this player, or you're going to put him on the bench? We'll begin with JUAN TOJA down at FC Dallas. Personally, I think you got to start him.
Definitely, Greg. I'm with you. This guy's a very versatile two-way player. Starts deep in the midfield, strong, good on the ball, can tackle, and he can get forward, integrate, get into the attack.
Yeah, he's very active, which is something that the second player, Roberto Brown, is not. However, I actually like him. He sits in the middle, he's big and strong, he's kind of like a Panamanian Danny Dicchio up there, like a Carlos Hermosillo, and he's just going to be a pain in the butt for anybody to try and mark.
Try and mark. It's easy. The guy stands in one spot. Look, I disagree. I mean, I know he has scored goals, but you got to move a little bit. I mean, do something for the rest of the team. Guy's the most stationary player I've ever seen. I put him on the bench.
Oh, forget that. You got to start him. He's got 3 goals already for Colorado, and the Rapids are flying pretty high right now. Another player who's made a big impact so far is MAYKEL Galindo out in Chivas, the Cuban speedster, and he's made Chivas much more dangerous in the attack. I like him. I think you have to start him every game.
Cuba on the radar screen. You got to be kidding me. I agree. This kid has talent. He's got that explosiveness. First step. I think he's a very good player.
Yeah, speed kills all around the league. Lastly, another speedster, Luciano Emilio. Personally, right now, I don't think you can play him. You got to put him on the bench. He started out very well with 2 goals in the first 2 games, but let's be honest. The defenses in MLS, they're very sophisticated. They're getting more sophisticated every year, and they figured him out, and they've shut him down.
I agree with you, Greg. You just said speed kills, but as a former defender, you know, so far I've only seen him have 1 gear. You need to have a 2nd gear, a 3rd gear. They're backing off him. They're allowing him the first step, and then they close him down. They figured him out. I put him on the bench.
Yeah, well, there are obviously some more newcomers that are coming into the league, some of the big names. We're going to take a look at them a little bit later on in the season to see how they've done. So if you have an idea of who you think should start or bench, or any thought you want to share with us, you can email us at extratime@mlsnet.com. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. We'll start to think about some of your thoughts on the air. Now, it's time for Shep Messing's final thought. Shep, what do you got for us this week?
David Beckham. A barometer of how far we've come in this soccer nation is the way we debate everything. Is David Beckham over the hill? Is he too old? Not good enough? Not enough talent? Too much hype? I'll tell you what. I watched Real Madrid last weekend play against Recreativo. David Beckham was the best player on the field. Technically, tactically, got a ball from Robinho, played it wide right, got it back, put it on Robinho's head for the goal. He was tremendous for 90 minutes. I think David Beckham coming to Major League Soccer is going to have a big impact on the LA Galaxy team on the field, and it doesn't hurt. He's going to bring a celebrity crowd.
It's going to be fun out there in LA. That's all we have this week for MLSnet.com's Extra Time. Join us next week when Shep and I will be here, and we'll kick it around again.